We have a lot of people who are probably house flippers who like to use their hands to fix everything, manage everything. You need to stop doing that. We need to stop doing that, guys. Hire a property management company. Your tenants will thank you. Your investors will thank you. Your bank will thank you. Everyone will thank you.
Your spouse will thank you.
What's up? Welcome
what's
back
up?
to How to Invest in Commercial Real Estate.
Welcome back.
Today, it's all about underwriting. And underwriting is quite honestly could be terrifying. So today is the idea of getting you from contract to close with peace of mind. Okay, so the biggest thing, right, is we're going to give away our due diligence checklist. And this is kind of like the Bible, so to speak, of underwriting. It'll give you confidence. It'll help you out, and it'll get into a lot of the weeds that we might not get into on the show, but make sure you download it at ddchecklist.howtoinvestincre.com.
Yeah, it seems like it could be a little intimidating to make sure you've got everything covered.
Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. The first time I was going through it, you feel like you're constantly forgetting something, because this list is, 4 pages, and we have over 43 items.
Well, you've just entered, or you're trying to enter into some contract or some asset that's worth millions of dollars, and if you miss one thing, you're thinking, that could cost me hundreds of thousands.
You're buying real property. I mean, that can be complicated just in title and abstracting and making sure you own it. You have to insure it. You have to make sure it's occupied with tenants that are hopefully paying you money. You've got to get a massive loan on it, which you may have never done.
Yeah.
It may not even be your own money for the down payment. Maybe your friends and family's money, and that's going to keep you up at night.
Yeah.
We'll go through some of the high-level things, traps, stories, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you got to go download the checklist, ddchecklist.howtoinvestincre.com.
Yeah. A lot of people, we've been talking about what's going to keep people from investing in commercial real estate. I think a couple shows ago we talked about it's the fear of losing money, and it's the fear of taking a risk and failing.
Fear.
And so that is what is going to keep most people. People might listen to the show, people might dabble and get a rent house, but when it comes to buying a multi-million-dollar commercial deal, it's fear that's going to keep them from doing that. So today we're going to give away the DD checklist. But like you said, getting someone from the time that they get a signed purchase and sale agreement to the closing is arguably the scariest time, because that's when you can make mistakes.
Yep.
You can miss something, and then you've got this property with a huge loan, and it's not what you thought.
Yeah.
So that's why the DD is really important. And I'll say I'm not an expert at DD. I have a really good list, and I have really good professionals that we hire to walk us through that list and to make sure that we don't mess up.
So who's on that list of professionals that you need? Because I know I'm not an expert either. So I feel like I'd have a lot more confidence if I had some people who are going to help me. So who can help you with making sure you've got everything covered?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a ton of people on that team. But real quick, before we dive too far in, I think there's going to be 2 viewpoints of this episode, and it's going to be people who want to invest in commercial real estate. And you need to understand due diligence so you can know what questions to ask whoever you're investing in, right? Like you need to understand some of the things so you can trust that person enough to give them money.
Yeah.
Then there's going to be another group of people who actually want to go out and buy these shopping centers or apartment complexes or that commercial deal themselves. And they obviously need to understand it because they're buying it. But going back to your question, who's on the team?
First, a closer. So title company will handle the closing, but what I would suggest is find a closing company with a person, a closer at that company that you get to know and you get to use on all of your deals.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be number one.
Free plug. I've used Megan Arnold at Oklahoma Title and Escrow, and that is the perfect example of who you want as a commercial closer, because you get this person, you get this liaison to transfer stuff you have no idea. It might as well be a different language on title work. And then you get a person, hey, is everything good? Yeah, it's going great. Thanks, Megan.
Okay,
Sweet.
but let me ask you, so the title company, can you use the same person no matter where the asset is?
Yeah. You can hire the closer. You would have to engage them specifically through the law firm. But like he's referring to, there's closers out there who just close deals. And a lot of the times they can be associated with title companies. I think that's what you're saying.
Yes, and I'm not sure. I don't think the title company we use can close deals in every state, or they maybe can't even write title insurance in each state. Mm-hmm. But from our perspective, for a fee, they can handle our side of the closing, reviewing the title work, making sure The title insurance is
Right.
there, and everything else that goes into building that closing statement and making sure the money's all going where it needs to go.
All right, that
Man,
makes sense. That's good.
That sounds complicated and expensive, Joel. That's going to cost a fortune.
Yeah, a few $100s should get you there.
Man, a few $100s.
Yeah, that sounds like money well spent.
So if you have no idea on title insurance or closing commercial property, just that right there, a few $100s. That's so cheap.
Yeah, that'd be money well
I
spent.
mean, obviously, the title company will provide other services that cost more than that. I'm just talking about the fee to kind of handle the transaction
Right.
and the paperwork.
Yeah. And there's lots of closers out there. There's lots of title companies. Title companies, there's big national companies. We happen to be in Oklahoma, which is this nice little gem of abstracting. So there's 2 out of the 50 states that still use the paper abstract. Mm-hmm. And we are one of them.
Each state's different. You're not going to need to learn all of that. The next person on your team will be an attorney. And, there's a couple different ways you can go about the attorney. If you have a lot of money or a bigger client, they tend to hire really expensive attorneys that handle everything with the contracts and the closing, and it's done professional. They're not going to miss anything, and that's kind of the primo service to getting your deal closed.
Okay. So what? Again, going back to cost, how do you gauge that? I mean, what are you seeing out there? That's probably what, 20, 30 grand on a transaction, maybe.
Could be.
Okay,
on the high end.
On the high end.
That's if an attorney kind of handles everything.
And handles everything.
Okay.
And we have done that on a couple of occasions. But I would say if you have an attorney that you can have at your disposal to review the purchase and sale contract and to make sure that you're covered there, and then to handle any issues that come up during the due diligence, you don't need them to handle all of the entire process. Yeah. So that I would just recommend having one as part of your team that you can connect with, but not having them do everything.
Okay.
Yeah, so attorneys are magical because they bill by the hour and they can work a lot of hours in a day. Yeah. So what you want to do is make sure you're monitoring your attorney closely, because if you go in with a very specific set of requirements, a very specific niche set of work that you're going to go in and say, hey, I need you to review this purchase and sale agreement. You're not engaging them, a $30,000 team, to say, hey, I need you and all of your colleagues to review every step in this transaction. You can buy that, but then you get under contract, you have them review the PSA, and then the next thing you may need is maybe an amendment. Maybe 30, 45 days later, they're starting to get involved in title or raising money or operating documents, stuff like that. But if you engage them on very specific things over the period of time, you can take that 15 to 30 grand maybe from your premium legal team, and you may be able to get it for
a few $1,000s, maybe total.
Yeah, I was going to say 3 to 5 on the low end.
Yeah.
Which is pretty affordable to get somebody who's licensed in law, does real estate transactions. They're going to protect you with stupid little things that you can't even, like force majeure. I guarantee it the first time you read it, you can't pronounce it. Guaranteed, 100% chance. And you need an attorney to explain that. And anyway, next one.
Yeah, so management company, I would say, is the next one.
Property management?
Property management. So if you're not going to do it in-house, which maybe a lot of guys or girls starting out would not have that management in-house, is to get a local management company that's highly recommended by real estate professionals in the market.
So let's pause there, because I feel like this is a controversial subject. We have a lot of people who are probably house flippers who like to use their hands to fix everything, manage everything. You need to stop doing that. We need to stop doing that, guys. Hire a property management company. Your tenants will thank you. Your investors will thank you. Your bank will thank you. Everyone will thank you.
Your spouse will thank you.
Oh, God, definitely your spouse.
I want to say this about doing things yourself. I know we've probably said it before. I'm going to say it again. Is everything can be hired in this life. And so if you're doing work that can be hired, just figure out what it costs to do that work when it's all said and done. I mean, the drive time, fixing the toilet or handling a maintenance issue or delivering a lease. And if that's $10 an hour, that's $20 an hour, even $40 an hour. Is that really your goal? Because if it isn't, you have to be spending your time buying deals.
Yeah, I'm not sure that time's measurable, right?
Yeah.
That time that you do that versus if you found another deal during the 4 hours that it took or 8 hours that it took here and there or whatever.
Yeah, so you just don't want to be doing it yourself. We don't have to get into that too much. But the property management company, they will put together a budget for you, analyzing the leases and help get you ready on day one. They're also going to look at all the service contracts from all the vendors that you're going to use at property, whether it's trash or lot sweep or maintenance, things like that. They're going to be able to put those together. So they provide.
When are you engaging them? I mean, how soon on?
I probably engage them when I go non-refundable with my earnest money, maybe.
Okay, so we're maybe a month in, you're touching base with the property management company, and it may be sooner than that if it's out of your market because you want to engage them for feedback.
Okay, that's a good point. So if you're going into a market looking at a property, maybe before you make the offer or you go under contract, you may ask a couple different property management companies, hey, I'm looking at this asset. Tell me about the area. Tell me about this asset. What do you know about it? They're going to provide really good feedback. Oh, that apartment complex, it's in a pretty good area. It's growing. The school district is great. Things are moving up. Or that area, the town's really moving east of there, and you're really on kind of the older side of town. Those are such valuable insights, and property management companies are going to be really good at giving you that info.
Okay, and real quick, how's the best way to find one? In a
Hold on, I got this. Okay. This is my favorite.
Tell me.
Google plus effort equals knowledge. And I say that sarcastically, but 100% of the time, when I find a property management company in a new market, I'm Googling property management companies. Because first of all, I want a property management company that's sophisticated enough to build out a website in 2021.
Yeah.
And advertise.
And I mean, if you can't show up on Google in the market, then you're probably not big enough, right? And there's exceptions to that. Super local, most likely old, exceptions. But generally speaking, if you can't find them on Google, man.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree with that. You can find them on Google. Other avenues to find management companies are the local brokers. Who are the power brokers? Because they will be advertising their name.
Yeah, right.
And you'll call them up and say, hey, who are the 3 best property management companies for this asset in your market?
Yeah.
Whether it's a multifamily C class, whether it's an A class, because the A class management company will be different than the C class management company, and the retail management company will be different as well. So there's ways, I think, but make some calls.
Okay. Free plug. You guys manage some property, don't you?
Somebody needs some property managed. If you have property in Tulsa, Oklahoma, multifamily or retail, we think we're really good at it.
All right. So just closing up with a manager. A manager is a valuable asset to engage them before closing. They're going to have to onboard. You want them ready the day of closing. You want to make sure security deposits lined up. You want to make sure prepaid rent and taxes. I've had property management companies really save my tail.
And that's pretty much free advice, right? Until you start paying them after after the closing, right?
Never paid an onboarding fee for management ever in my life. I don't intend to. Management fees are charged after the day of closing. 3 to 5% of revenue, depending on your market and what you're managing, I would say. But
that's really good partners. So I would spend some time picking a good one. But that's definitely got to be on your team.
Okay. All right. Another one you're probably going to engage pretty early is your lender. This may be one of the most important relationships on your deal, mainly because they're the majority of the capital stack. So the capital stack, if you look at where the funds are coming from, if you have 100% of where the funds are coming from to buy the property, we've established that we're getting debt for 70 to 80% of the purchase price. So that means 70 to 80% of the money is coming from that lender. It's a super important relationship. They're going to have a lot of stipulations and documents
so they're very interested in the property. So we're talking about underwriting. What is the lender? Where does he help you with underwriting?
Yeah, so where does he help you? I'll get into that. But the biggest thing that the lender is trying to make sure of is they've got to make sure that loan is good. They need to make sure somebody's paying the loan. And if there's not a personal guarantee, at first they want to underwrite the property, right? So I don't want to get too in the weeds. But they need to make sure that property can sustain the debt by itself without the guarantor. Anyway, they're going to help you because they're going to ask a ton of questions to protect their massive investment they're making in you. And some of those questions you may not have asked yourself or found out the answer to. I mean, they're going to be leases. They're going to be title work. They're going to be surveys, property condition reports. They want to know everything about this asset that you do.
So they're probably more interested in the overall than any of these other partners, right? These others might have some specifics, but to me, a lender would be interested in all this, all the underwriting.
100%.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe I disagree a little bit. Lenders, I'm not sure that they're going to provide better or more expertise than these other people are.
Agree. I agree with that.
Because lenders are all over the board. I find.
Yeah,
I've been told no on a really good property. I've been told yes on a questionable property. But they are going to be invested, and so they are a good partner. You do need to know the lenders, have relationships with them. And there's different lenders for different properties, so you're going to need multiple relationships on that front.
Yeah, and it can be super complicated. Like if you're getting CMBS or life insurance debt, the lenders, attorneys, teams that you get the pleasure of paying for are going to be so ridiculously cumbersome, and they're going to ask you to fill out documents that, I mean, it's insane. But anyway, the lender is going to require a bunch of stuff that's going to make you ask good questions, or at least you have to answer them. You can't just say, I don't know, and you get turned down through this dichotomy of them asking questions and you answering them. You either get approved or denied. It's pretty simple.
So I don't know if this next one has to be like a member of a team, a closing team, but property condition assessment, companies where they provide a report on the physical condition of the property. So I don't know if they're a team, because you may hire different ones, but that's definitely something that you're going to need to do.
They do what? Electrical, plumbing, structural, maybe even.
It's everything physical.
Yeah,
just think about.
They'll do as much as you want to pay them to do.
Okay, they could do HVAC. They could do roof if you wanted them to.
Yeah, they can do a general on the roof, or you can pay a little extra and have a roofer make a full blown report. Parking lot, HVAC, plumbing is one that we've screwed up in the past.
Yeah,
we didn't have the plumbing. We didn't know to inspect the plumbing underneath this retail building, and it all collapsed on us a couple years later, and it was a pretty expensive miss. And not only did we miss it on the inspection side, but we had our insurance agent that didn't get us. It wasn't our agent. It was an agent in the state of the property was in. Didn't have us covered sufficiently for it. So we missed it on two fronts. So I don't know if anybody's listening. Hopefully they don't make that mistake.
Yeah, and the beauty about this, I know we talked about that in a previous episode, but what do we do every single time now? And I know I do it every single time. You guys at Precision are probably doing it every single time. You're snaking the plumbing lines, right? Because you got caught, and it's like, man, we didn't snake the lines, and we got burned.
Yeah.
It was probably a $10,000, $20,000 mistake that wasn't really big in the grand scheme of things. It was probably recovered. There was probably an insurance claim. Not that big of a deal. It probably sucked in the moment, but now to snake snake it.
Yeah. Well, we got sued by a couple of the tenants because the plumbing filled their space.
Oh, wow.
It ended up being a decent little problem for us. But yeah, I think we've covered most of the people that need to be on your team. Once again, going back to the psychology of it, is we're trying to get people in a position where they can take advantage of commercial real estate, and getting them through the due diligence, which is the scariest time, which is the time that you're going to make the most mistakes, and getting them the confidence to close on their first deal is important. So that's why we're going to give this DD checklist away. And it's not, don't think it's the end all be all. It's a good comprehensive list. You can add to it. But you've got to start with a list and start with the team members that we talked about.
Yeah, and I was keeping track of the estimated cost. I know we didn't hit the property condition report. So going back to that, estimated cost of property condition report is going to be depending on what you inspect, how big the property is. There's a lot of variables, but generally speaking, a few $1,000s.
A few $1,000s.
Right. So we have a closer, a few $100. We have an attorney, $3,000 to $5,000. Managers working for free in due diligence, right? Because you're not closed. Your property condition reports, your physical inspections are going to be $3,000 to $5,000. So
you'll have a survey, but sometimes the seller pays for the survey. Sometimes the buyer does. That can be a couple grand. You'll have a phase one report, environmental. That can be $1,000, $2,000.
But we're in for like 10 grand or less to go inspect this, go and figure it out, go and test it. And if the deal falls apart, or if you find something that you can't live with, you're walking away from all that money, and you need to be prepared for that.
That's a good point. And when new people are underwriting, they need to understand what these costs are going to be, because that will factor into their returns. So this checklist, maybe when we give the DD checklist, we give a range of cost on a column next to these items. So that way they can know, okay, this is what a good due diligence costs me on a normal $5 million deal. And that way they can say, okay, I need to raise this much money, and this is going to be my closing costs, or this is some of the money I'm going to spend from the time I go under contract to the time I close.
Yeah, right.
I'd say that's probably a big beginner mistake, is underestimating or way overestimating due diligence costs, but in general, just missing that mark. And I'm getting pretty damn close myself. I can typically dial that in, just estimation wise. But anyway, it's ddchecklist.howtoinvestinCRE.com. ddchecklist.howtoinvestinCRE.com. It's pretty easy. Go there, download it, fill out your name, email. It's super easy. It's absolutely free. Like Joel said, it's not the end all be all, but it's a really good starting point. And if you add some stuff, feel free to let us know. Make sure you are liking and subscribing. And then there's this tiny little button. It looks like there's waves over a bell. And then if you hit that, you actually get notifications
when we drop an episode,
which is every Tuesday and Friday. And I got to say, we're pretty damn good about keeping that schedule because right now it's like 5 degrees outside and we can't even park in the driveway because it's a solid sheet of ice. And we're still here to get the episode out on Tuesday and Friday. So hit the thing, get the notifications. It'll make us happy. Anyway, we'll be back in a few days. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.